The massive alien ships appeared on a quiet Tuesday morning. They emerged from the dark space behind the moon, their sleek hulls gleaming under Earth's sun. 7 vessels, each larger than the biggest aircraft carrier ever built, positioned themselves in perfect formation above Earth's major continents. World leaders scrambled to their command centers. Military forces worldwide went on high alert, but no one fired a shot. They all remembered the agreement made 10 years ago. First contact would be handled with diplomacy, not violence. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council. Their first message, broadcast simultaneously in all Earth languages, seemed peaceful enough. We come to assess your civilization's readiness to join the galactic community. In Washington, D.C., President Williams stood before the emergency meeting of world leaders, both present and attending through secure video links. They say they're peaceful, he said, his face showing deep concern. But why bring warships for a peaceful meeting? The Council requested a meeting with Earth's leaders at the United Nations headquarters in New York. They sent down 3 representatives in a smaller shuttle, each wearing flowing robes decorated with symbols of their rank. Their skin was blue-tinted, and their 4 eyes blinked independently as they surveyed the gathered humans. The lead alien, who called himself the High Observer, spoke first. "We have watched your species for some time," he said, his universal translator making his words clear but oddly flat. "We have concerns." "What kind of concerns?" asked the UN Secretary General, trying to keep his voice steady. The High Observer's upper eyes narrowed. "Your species is remarkably aggressive. You wage wars among yourselves. You develop weapons before medical cures. You compete rather than cooperate. This makes you dangerous." President Williams stepped forward. "With respect, we've made great progress. Global warfare has decreased. We're working together on climate change, space exploration. You misunderstand." The High Observer cut him off. "We are not here to negotiate. We are here to contain." The words hung in the air for a moment before all hell broke loose. In orbit, the Council ship's weapons powered up. Bright beams of energy struck military bases across the globe. Submarines in the depths of the oceans exploded without warning. Air Force bases erupted in flames. Missile silos crumbled. Back in the UN building, the alien representatives had already transported back to their ships, leaving Earth's leaders watching in horror as screens showed the devastation unfolding around the world. "Get to the bunkers," President Williams shouted as the building shook. "Execute Emergency Protocol Omega." Thousands died in those first minutes. The Council's attack was precise, targeting military installations and defense infrastructure. They expected Earth to surrender immediately, faced with such overwhelming technological superiority. They were wrong. Deep under the Rocky Mountains, General Tom Baker watched the attacks through hardened sensors. He pressed his palm against the DNA reader, spoke his authorization code, and gave the order. "Execute Defense Plan Delta. Authorization Baker 770. Across the planet, hidden bunkers powered up. Facilities that officially didn't exist began humming with activity. In the decades since humans first looked to the stars and wondered if they were alone, they had been preparing. Not everyone believed first contact would be peaceful. "Status report," General Baker demanded. "Sir, we're detecting shield technology similar to our experimental prototypes," a young officer reported. "Their weapons are more advanced, but the basic principles match our theoretical models." "How many of our hidden bases are still operational?" 87%, sir. The Council missed most of our underground facilities." General Baker allowed himself a grim smile. The aliens had studied human civilization, but they'd only seen what humans wanted them to see. They hadn't found the classified projects, the hidden research, the preparations made in secret. "Send the coded signal to all surviving commands," Baker ordered. "Tell them we're activating Project Firestorm." In bunkers around the world, soldiers and scientists who had trained for this moment sprang into action. Experimental aircraft powered up. Weapon systems that combined human innovation with theories about alien technology came online. The Galactic Council had made a serious mistake. They thought they were containing a primitive, violent species. Instead, they had attacked a civilization that had spent decades preparing for this exact scenario. They expected surrender. They would get resistance instead. The real war was about to begin. The Council ships hung in orbit, their commanders waiting for Earth's surrender message. They had destroyed major military bases, crippled conventional forces, and demonstrated their overwhelming power. According to their analysis, humans would now submit to their authority. The first sign that something was wrong came when their sensors detected movement deep within Earth's oceans. "High Commander, we're tracking multiple underwater launches," reported a Council officer. They appeared to be using some form of stealth technology we didn't detect earlier. The High Commander's 4 eyes widened in surprise. Impossible. Their technology level was assessed at Grade 3. Stealth systems are Grade 5 minimum. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, humanity's secret submarines broke surface. These weren't the normal military vessels the Council had destroyed. These were ships built in hidden underwater bases, incorporating theories about alien technology the humans had been developing for decades. Captain James Miller stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiant, the first of Earth's hybrid tech ships. "Launch counter-attack pattern Alpha," he ordered. "Let's show them what humans can do when we're backed into a corner." The Defiant and its sister ships fired their first volley. The missiles weren't the simple nuclear weapons the Council expected. Instead, they carried warheads based on theoretical alien physics, developed by scientists who had spent their careers preparing for this day. The Council's shields flickered as the attacks hit. They hadn't expected Earth weapons to be able to affect their defenses at all. "Impossible," the High Commander shouted. "How do they have this technology?" Deep under the Nevada desert, Dr. Anna Thompson worked frantically at her computer. For 15 years, she had led a team studying potential alien shield frequencies. Now, watching real data from the battle above, she smiled. "Send this to all combat units," she said, transmitting new targeting frequencies. "Their shields operate exactly like we theorized. And we know their weakness." Around the world, humanity's hidden strength emerged. Bunkers built inside mountains opened to reveal advanced fighter aircraft. Underground bases launched missiles that could track Council energy signatures. Soldiers wearing experimental-powered armor emerged from hidden facilities. The Council forces found themselves under attack from weapons they couldn't understand. Human technology shouldn't have been this advanced. It shouldn't have been this effective. Status report. General Baker demanded in his underground command center. "Sir, our hybrid tech weapons are penetrating their shields at a 40% success rate," an officer reported. "The Council ships are taking damage. They're falling back to higher orbit." In space, Captain Miller's forces pressed their advantage. The Council ships had superior technology, but they weren't prepared for humans who had spent years figuring out how to fight them. "They're running," Miller said, watching the alien ships retreat. "They thought we were primitive. They didn't realize we've been getting ready for them for decades." The High Commander of the Council forces faced a difficult decision. His ships had taken unexpected damage. His crews were reporting impossible things. Humans using technology that shouldn't exist, weapons that somehow knew the weaknesses of Council shields. "Send a message to the Council," he ordered. "The humans, they're not what we thought. They have weapons that can hurt us. They have defenses we didn't detect. This isn't going to be the easy containment operation we planned." In the Council's main ship, the message was received with disbelief. How could humans, a species that had barely reached their moon, suddenly have technology that could challenge Council forces? The answer was simple. Humans had been preparing. Since the first radio signals from space, since the first hints that they weren't alone, humans had been getting ready. They studied every UFO sighting, every strange signal, every unexplained phenomenon. They built weapons based on theories about how alien technology might work. They constructed hidden bases designed to survive first contact if it turned hostile. The Council had expected to find a primitive species that would surrender when faced with superior technology. Instead, they found a civilization that had spent generations preparing for this exact moment. As the Council ships retreated to regroup, General Baker sent a message to all Earth forces. The real war starts now. Show them why you never underestimate humans. The battle for Earth was just beginning, and humanity was ready to fight. The first week after the Council's failed containment strike changed everything. Military forces worldwide united under a single banner, the Earth Defense Force, EDF. Old enemies became allies against a common threat. Former rival nations shared their secret technological developments. Dr. Anna Thompson stood before the newly formed EDF Council, her hand steady as she pointed to the holographic display. "We've cracked their shield frequency patterns," she explained. "Each time they adjust, we can crack the new frequency within minutes." "How is this possible?" asked the Russian general. "Because they're overconfident," Anna replied. "They never expected us to understand their technology, so they never developed proper security. Their shield frequencies follow a predictable pattern. In orbit, the Council ships were learning a harsh lesson about human warfare. Instead of facing them in direct battle, Earth forces struck in quick, devastating raids. Captain Miller's hybrid tech ships would appear from the ocean depths, fire their shield-penetrating weapons, and disappear before the Council could respond. "Another supply ship destroyed," reported a Council officer. "These humans, they're not fighting like a primitive species should." The High Commander watched Earth's continuing resistance with growing concern. "They're using hit-and-run tactics. They strike our weakest points and vanish. This isn't the behavior of a Grade 3 civilization." On the ground, Commander Robert Wilson led Special Forces teams in daring raids against Council ground installations. The aliens had started building bases on Earth, expecting to begin their containment operation. Instead, these bases became targets. "Move in quiet," Wilson whispered to his team as they approached a Council facility in the Amazon rainforest. His soldiers wore the latest in hybrid tech armor, combining human ingenuity with reversed-engineered alien technology. The raid was quick and precise. Wilson's team breached the alien shields using Dr. Thompson's frequencies, disabled the alien guards with electromagnetic pulse weapons, and captured vital Council technology. Most importantly, they seized the base's communication array intact. Back at EDF headquarters, technicians began extracting data from the captured alien computers. What they found changed the course of the war. "Look at this," Dr. Thompson said, pointing to translated alien text. "The Council isn't united. Several member species opposed the attack on Earth. They thought we should be approached peacefully." General Baker leaned forward. "Can we use this?" "Better than that," Anna smiled. "We can now tap into their communication networks. We can listen to their plans, and they don't even know it." The Council's overconfidence had led to their greatest mistake. They had never properly encrypted their communications, believing that primitive humans could never understand their technology. In space, humanity's first major victory came when Captain Miller led an assault on a Council battleship. Using the knowledge gained from captured bases, his ships targeted specific weak points in the alien vessel. "All ships, focus fire on the marked coordinates," Miller ordered. "Let's show them what happens when you underestimate humans." The battle was fierce but quick. For the first time in Council history, one of their mighty battleships was captured intact by a primitive species. The ship, renamed Humanity's Pride, became a symbol of Earth's resistance. Inside the captured battleship, human scientists found a treasure trove of advanced technology. But more importantly, they found proof that the Council had violated its own laws by attacking Earth without proper cause. "Send this to every Council communication channel," General Baker ordered. "Let their own people see what their leaders have done." The Council leadership faced a growing crisis. Their easy containment operation had turned into a costly war. Their own citizens were beginning to question the attack on Earth. And worst of all, These primitive humans were proving to be far more dangerous than anyone had expected. As the third week of war ended, humanity had not only survived, but was beginning to push back. The Council's ships were being forced to maintain higher orbits. Their ground bases were under constant attack. Their supply lines were being disrupted by raids they couldn't predict or prevent. "Send word to all Earth forces," General Baker announced. "Phase 1 of our resistance is complete. Now we begin Phase 2, taking the fight to them." The Council had wanted to contain humanity. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 month into the war, Earth's scientists worked day and night in the captured Council battleship, Humanity's Pride. With Dr. Anna Thompson leading the research team, they made breakthrough after breakthrough in understanding alien technology. "Their biggest weakness is their pride," Anna explained to General Baker, pointing at the alien engine core. "They haven't improved their basic technology in centuries. They thought they were perfect, so they stopped innovating." In contrast, humans took the Council's technology and began improving it immediately. They didn't just copy the alien designs, they made them better. Commander Robert Wilson stood in the briefing room, looking at the holographic map of a massive Council space station. "This is their main resupply point in our solar system," he said, "and we're going to take it." The mission seemed impossible. The space station was heavily defended, with dozens of Council ships protecting it. But Wilson had a plan that only humans would think of. "They're looking for ships," he said with a grim smile. "So we won't use any." 24 hours later, Wilson and his team floated in space, using modified Council spacesuits. They looked like debris, just more space junk floating near the station. The Council's sensors, programmed to look for ships and weapons, ignored them completely. "Remember," Wilson whispered through the secure comlink, "we only have one shot at this. Make it count." The infiltration worked perfectly. Using hacking tools developed by Dr. Thompson's team, they bypassed the station's security. Within hours, the biggest Council resupply station in the solar system belonged to Earth. But the real prize wasn't the station itself. It was the data they found inside. "This is incredible," Dr. Thompson said, reading through captured files. "The Council isn't just divided about Earth. There's a whole faction that wants to overthrow the current leadership. They think the old Council members have become corrupt." Captain Miller, now commanding a small fleet of captured and modified Council ships, saw an opportunity. "If we can contact these rebel Council members," he said, "we might find allies." Using the captured communication systems, Earth began broadcasting proof of the Council leadership's illegal actions. They showed how the attack on Earth violated the Council's own laws about first contact. They revealed documents showing how the Council leaders had lied to their own people. The response was immediate. 3 younger Council species secretly reached out to Earth. They had always resented the old Council race's control, and now they saw a chance for change. "They're offering us their latest shield technology," Anna reported excitedly. "And something even better. The access codes to the Council's main defense network." General Baker called an emergency meeting of the Earth Defense Force. "This is our chance," he said. "With these access codes and the help of our new allies, we can take the fight directly to the Council's core worlds." The Council leadership, meanwhile, faced a nightmare they had never imagined. The primitive humans had not only survived their attack, but had turned their own technology and people against them. What was supposed to be a simple containment operation had sparked a revolution within the Council itself. "How is this possible?" the High Commander demanded, watching reports of more Council ships deserting to join Earth. They were supposed to be savages. The answer came from a young Council scientist who had studied Earth more carefully than others. "They are different from us," she reported. "When we find a technology that works, we keep using it the same way forever. When humans find technology, they immediately try to make it better. They don't accept things as they are. They always look for improvement." Captain Miller proved this point when he led his fleet of modified Council ships into battle. The ships now carried human improvements, better shields, stronger weapons, and most importantly, crews who weren't afraid to try new tactics. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta, Miller ordered. Show them how humans fight. The Council ships, expecting standard space combat maneuvers, were completely unprepared for human battle tactics. Miller's fleet moved in ways Council ships never had, attacked from angles the Council had never considered, and used their own technology in ways the Council had never imagined. By the end of the second month of war, the tide had turned completely. Earth wasn't just defending itself anymore. It was preparing to take the fight to the Council's home systems. The galaxy was about to learn just how dangerous it was to underestimate humans. 3 months into the war, the Council's mighty empire began cracking from within. The spark that lit the flame was a simple video recording. Footage of their unprovoked attack on Earth, secretly broadcast across every Council world by Earth's new allies. The Council chambers erupted in chaos as civilian representatives watched humans dying in the initial attack. Parents shielding children, doctors treating the wounded, peaceful cities burning. This wasn't the military containment they had been told about. "You said this was a defensive action," shouted one Council member, their voice echoing through the Grand Hall. "You told us the humans attacked first." Professor Michael Brown, Earth's newly appointed diplomat, stood calmly before the Council's civilian assembly. He had been chosen for this role because he understood how to turn the Council's own rules against them. The attack on Earth broke 16 different Council laws. Brown explained, his voice firm but measured. "We have proof that your military leaders knew this and attacked anyway." The evidence was overwhelming. Documents captured from the space station showed how Council leaders had manipulated data about Earth. They had hidden reports showing humans were peaceful. They had ignored studies suggesting Earth should be approached diplomatically. In the Council's lower chambers, representatives from younger species began openly rebelling. "For too long, the old races have controlled everything," declared the ambassador from a species that had secretly been helping Earth. "They attack anyone they can't control. Earth is just the latest victim." The Council's political structure, unchanged for thousands of years, began to shake. More species started speaking out. More evidence of corruption emerged. The careful lies of the old Council leaders started falling apart. Dr. Anna Thompson, working with scientists from allied Council species, made another crucial discovery. "Look at this," she said, showing General Baker ancient Council records. "They've done this before. They've attacked and contained dozens of species that showed too much independence." The news spread quickly through Council space. Propaganda networks couldn't contain it. The truth about Earth's resistance, about human ingenuity, about Council corruption, it all came pouring out. On a Council colony world, huge crowds gathered outside government buildings. They carried signs with Earth symbols. They chanted human words. Earth's resistance had become a symbol of hope for every species that had ever felt oppressed by the Council. Captain Miller, now commanding a joint fleet of Earth and Rebel Council ships, received constant messages from Council military vessels wanting to defect. "They're tired of serving corrupt leaders," he reported to Earth Command. "They want change." The old Council leaders tried desperately to maintain control. They declared martial law on their worlds. They tried to jam communications. They ordered their fleets to arrest rebel leaders. But it was too late. The revolution they had feared for centuries had finally arrived, sparked not by their own people, but by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Professor Brown addressed the rebel Council members again. "Earth doesn't want to destroy the Council. We want to reform it, to make it live up to its own ideals of peace and justice." His words were broadcast across Council space. Billions of alien beings watched as this human offered not revenge, but a chance for positive change. In their high towers, the old Council leaders faced a terrible choice: surrender power peacefully or risk losing everything in a civil war. They had started this conflict thinking they could easily contain humanity. Now, humanity wasn't just beating them militarily, it was dismantling their political power. The humans have done what no species has managed in 10,000 years, one council member observed. They united the younger races against us. And they did it not through force, but by exposing the truth. As the fourth month of war began, the council's political structure collapsed entirely. Half their fleet had joined Earth's side. Corrupt leaders were being arrested on dozens of worlds. The carefully maintained power structure of millennia was falling apart. General Baker received the news with quiet satisfaction. Phase 3 is complete, he told his staff. Now we move to the final phase, rebuilding the council into something better. The galaxy was changing, and at its heart was a species that refused to be contained, refused to surrender, and now refused to seek revenge. Humanity had proved itself not just through fighting skill, but through wisdom and justice. The final battle was approaching, but it would not be fought with weapons alone. The moment had come for Operation Thunderbolt. After 4 months of war, Earth and its allies were ready to strike at the heart of the old Council's power. Admiral Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of humanity's pride, now upgraded with technology that even the Council's founders had never imagined. Around her ship, the largest fleet ever assembled in Council history filled the void of space, a mix of Earth vessels, rebel Council ships, and hybrid craft that combined the best of both worlds. All ships report ready, Admiral, her second-in-command reported. Earth forces, rebel Council forces, all combat ready. Martinez nodded, her expression firm. Send the message to all ships. Operation Thunderbolt begins now. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, using new calculations developed by Dr. Thompson's team. The old Council had always used the same jump points, the same travel routes for thousands of years. Humans had found new paths, shorter and faster ones. They appeared right above the Council's core worlds, bypassing all the defensive lines the corrupt leaders had established. The Council's loyal fleet, now reduced to less than a third of its original size, scrambled to respond. They're still using standard combat formations, Captain Miller reported from his attack squadron. They haven't learned anything from fighting us. Martinez's voice came clear over the command channel. Execute attack pattern Sierra. Show them everything we've learned. The battle that followed would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The combined Earth rebel fleet moved like no fleet had ever moved before. Ships performed maneuvers that the Council had always thought impossible. Weapons fired in ways that defied traditional space combat doctrine. On one of the Council's core worlds, a young alien child looked up at the sky and saw something amazing. Council ships fighting alongside the human vessels they had been told were their enemies, working together with perfect coordination. In the Council's main fortress, the corrupt leaders watched in horror as their defenses crumbled. They had spent thousands of years building these defenses, believing them perfect. But they had never faced humans before. Humans who looked at perfect systems and immediately found ways to make them better. How are they penetrating our shields? A Council commander demanded. Those shield designs are flawless. The answer came from their own systems. The humans had improved the shield technology. What the Council had thought was the peak of development had been just the beginning. Dr. Thompson, monitoring the battle from Earth, smiled as her new shield designs proved their worth. The Council stopped improving centuries ago, she said to General Baker. They thought they knew everything. That was their biggest mistake. The battle raged for 6 hours. Council defenders fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outmaneuvered. More importantly, they were fighting for a corrupt system that many of them no longer believed in. Martinez's voice rang out across all channels. To all Council forces, your leaders lied to you. They attacked Earth illegally. They've hidden corruption for centuries. Surrender now and help us build a better Council. Ship after ship lowered their shields. The Council's military, trained to follow orders without question for thousands of years, was finally thinking for themselves. The final push came when Captain Miller's squadron breached the defenses of the Council's main fortress. Using tactics that combined Earth's military history with advanced technology, they did what the Council had always thought impossible. Main fortress shields are down, Miller reported. Landing teams moving in. Commander Wilson led the ground assault himself. His troops, a mix of humans and rebel Council forces, moved through the ancient halls of power. They weren't just fighting with advanced weapons. They were fighting with something the old Council had never understood: the desire for positive change. The corrupt Council leaders, hiding in their secure bunker, finally realized what humans had known for centuries. No fortress is truly impregnable. No system is truly perfect, and change is not something to be feared. As the last defenses fell, Admiral Martinez sent a final message to Earth. Operation Thunderbolt complete. The Council's core worlds are secured. The old regime is finished. A new era was about to begin, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. And it had all started because the Council made one simple mistake. They underestimated humanity's potential. The war was nearly over, but the real work of building a better future was just beginning. 6 months after the Council's failed attack on Earth, the Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly looked very different. Where once only the oldest Council races had sat in the high seats, now representatives from Earth and the younger Council species joined them as equals. Professor Michael Brown stood at the center of the hall, addressing the new Galactic Assembly. "The war is over," he announced, his voice carrying to all corners of the vast chamber. "Now we must ensure such a conflict never happens again." The trial of the old Council leaders had lasted 1 month. The evidence was overwhelming. Not just their illegal attack on Earth, but centuries of corruption and illegal containment operations against other species came to light. "The sentence is final," declared the Chief Justice, a respected member of one of the neutral Council races. "The guilty will spend the rest of their lives helping to rebuild the worlds they damaged through their corruption." Dr. Anna Thompson had a different kind of victory to celebrate. The new Council had created an interstellar science division, and she was its first director. In the same rooms where corrupt leaders had once plotted wars, scientists from 100 worlds now worked together. "Look at this," she said excitedly to General Baker, showing him a new invention created by human and alien scientists working together. "We've improved faster than light travel by combining Council technology with human innovations. Ships can now travel 3 times faster than before." Captain Miller, now Admiral Miller, commanded the new combined defense fleet. Under his leadership, former enemies trained together, learning from each other. Council ships now moved with human unpredictability, while Earth ships gained the benefit of centuries of space combat experience. "Never thought I'd see the day," Miller said, watching human and Council crews working side by side on his flagship. "But here we are, stronger together than we ever were apart." Commander Wilson had a new job too. He led the peacekeeping force, a combined unit that helped worlds transition from the old Council's rule to self-governance. His teams, mixing humans and aliens, became symbols of the new cooperation between species. "Every world has the right to choose its own path," Wilson explained to a group of newly freed colonists. "The new Council is here to help, not to control." Admiral Martinez focused on making sure no one could ever build another corrupt empire. She established new training programs, teaching military forces from all species to think independently and question unethical orders. The old Council fell because they stopped questioning, stopped improving, stopped caring. She told her students, "We won't make the same mistake." On Earth, things had changed too. The skies above every major city now showed ships from dozens of alien worlds. Humans traveled freely through Council space, bringing their ideas and innovation to every corner of the galaxy. Earth products, especially their improvements on alien technology, became highly valued throughout Council space. But the biggest change was in how the galaxy viewed humans. They were no longer seen as primitive or violent. Instead, they became known as innovators, problem solvers, and defenders of justice. Species that had once looked down on Earth now sent their best and brightest to study there. Humans have a special gift, a young council scientist explained to her peers. They never accept that anything is perfect. They always look for ways to make things better. And now they're teaching the rest of us to do the same. The old council leaders, watching from their rehabilitation centers, finally understood their mistake. They had tried to contain humanity because they feared change. Instead, they had unleashed a force for positive change throughout the galaxy. Professor Brown summed it up in his final speech to the assembly. The stars aren't a place to be ruled or controlled. They're a place to be explored, improved, and shared. That's what humanity brings to the galaxy, not just the will to fight when necessary, but the vision to see how things could be better. 5 years after the Council's attack on Earth, the galaxy was a very different place. Ships traveled faster, technology worked better, and people were freer. The corrupt empire of the old council had been replaced by something new. A true partnership of equals, all working together to build a better future. And it all started because someone made the mistake of thinking humans would be easy to contain. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never underestimate the human spirit.